this is a thing I've been thinking about lately, Jon Ronson, that spirituality or morality, if you are secularly minded, is something for yourself, not something for others. So like I try to, like, my spirituality is I don't think that I should speak ill of others, or I should do things that are hurtful to other people, or now as I'm bringing up, watch pornography, as opposed to you shouldn't do this, you shouldn't do that. And that way it keeps me out of conflict and also from being bloody judgmental all the time.
Yeah.
But that seems to be the reverse of how morality and spirituality works culturally at this sort of deeply polemical time.
Well, I feel, I've always felt this way, but I feel this way more than ever, that because we live in such a deeply polemical time, it's certainly my duty as a teller of stories to throw ideology and judgment out the window. Because if you go into a situation in a judgmental way, then there's no space in your brain to be curious. So you just chuck all of that out the way, and then that gives you the opportunity to be curious and more empathetic than you might otherwise have been. And also it means a story can go wherever it goes, because you're not prejudging it.
Yeah, I feel like that's one aspect of your work that I've always enjoyed and been influenced with, is your willingness to be surprised. And I suppose I wondered, gosh, perhaps it's an indication of my own skepticism, if like this sort of, not late on in your career, you're far into your career, that you haven't become more aware of that sort of ingenue, abroad sort of approach. Because like when I say for some of your, I'm not sure if they're in the same books, I've read most of your stuff, like that guy that was the alpha priest or alpha
Mickey
preacher.
Gumbel.
Yeah, I really enjoyed how that was written. I thought that was a really beautiful tone and very sort of open to the experience, and that there wasn't a lack of judgment that meant that I felt like I was included. Though I seem to remember towards the end, I remember thinking, oh, maybe the alpha's not so great.
Well, that's because they send alpha. It seems like a lovely like dinner party in a nice church where everybody's like, there's no judgment, there's no pressure, everybody just sits around and chats, and there's cheese, and everyone's nice and kind of middle class, and then they take you all to Kidderminster and then force you to speak in tongues.
What's going on now? Why are we in Kidderminster?
Yeah, we're in Kidderminster. They want us to speak in a language that doesn't exist.
It's the perfect gateway town name to get you into speaking Kidderminster. Kidderminster.
Right.
It's like inviting you to start disregarding form and language. But like, I suppose in a way, like if you're dealing with the unknowable and the unknown, there's going to be sort of conventions and peculiar tropes to it. But you feel that there was a disingenuousness to the early, hey, we're just hanging out in a church.
It certainly came as a surprise. I mean, they certainly hid. They certainly didn't say, like, I know you're having cheese and grapes now, but in a couple of weeks' time, you're going to be in a scout hut in Kidderminster and you're going to be strongly pressured to speak in tongues. They didn't mention that. And so when the moment happened, everyone was supposed to close their eyes. So I had to make a decision. Like, do I close my eyes and actually see whether the Spirit will fill me and I will speak in tongues, or will I open my eyes and be a reporter?
What to go with?
Well, after a couple of seconds, it seemed pretty clear that the Spirit had chosen to bypass me.
You give it a few seconds, the old Spirit.
Yeah, gave a couple of seconds. I thought
better document this.
Yeah, because the Spirit doesn't need surely that much time.
Shouldn't need any.
Yeah.
If it's beyond time and beyond matter and encompasses all reality and all consciousness,
yeah,
it shouldn't go, come in if you'd have waited a bit longer.
Exactly. The Spirit doesn't go like, I'm coming. I'll be there. Just hang on. So I opened my eyes, and then people came over to me and said, why have you opened your eyes? And then I left the room, and there was probably 20 or 30 people outside. There was maybe like 150 people inside speaking in tongues, or at least trying to. Yeah, or at least trying to. And then there was about 20 or 30 people outside feeling furious. Like we didn't know that it was going to end up like this.
Thanks for watching this podcast and going all the way to the end of it. Would you so kind as to click the bell? It might not be there, over there. And subscribing so that we can infiltrate your serenity and peace of mind with jangling bells and buzzes. Thank you.